Welcome in to Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, and I have a penis, and my name is Clay Travis. And this is Outkick the Show, presented by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all of your gambling and informational-related needs. And boys and girls, grab your popcorn. We got a bunch of different things to get to today. John McEnroe versus Serena Williams. The Supreme Court, hallelujah, agrees to consider New Jersey's challenge to PASPA, which does not allow individual states to decide whether or not sports gambling should be legal. And for all of you who've been asking, why aren't you saying anything about Fox Sports Digital? Why aren't you talking about Fox Sports Digital? Why? I'll talk about it because I talk about everything. That's all here today on Outkick the Show. But we begin with what I think is a intriguing story. John McEnroe comes out and says, in response to a question about why he didn't call Serena Williams the greatest tennis player alive right now, that, news alert, Serena Williams is not the greatest tennis player alive right now. Here's the deal. If you have a penis, you're better at sports than people who don't have penises. Biology, take it up. Open a book, you illiterate son of a bitch. I'm sorry if you get offended at the idea that men being better than women in sports is an irrefutable biological reality. Men are faster, stronger, and better at all sports than women. This is unquestioned. This is a fact. And what is, I think, interesting about a story like this is because a true fact is stated, and you get to see how actual left-wing the sports media is. There are people out there right now caping up for Serena Williams, saying, oh my God, this was so disrespectful of Serena Williams, even though Serena Williams herself said on David Letterman last year that if she played Andy Murray, she would lose 6-0, 6-0. Do you know why she said that? Because she said it, and it's the truth, and she also said she didn't want to be embarrassed trying to play against a man. I think John McEnroe actually gave Serena Williams too much credit. I don't think she would be a top 700 player. I'm not sure that Serena Williams could beat the average men's scholarship tennis player at a major university in this country. That's not a shot at Serena Williams. It's just simply a fact that a 5'9", 150-pound female tennis player is probably not going to beat a 6'4", 215-pound male tennis player. It's all about power in tennis, and a male tennis player, based on his sheer size, would be able to serve the ball in a way that Venus and Serena Williams or any other women's tennis player would have difficulty getting the ball back. Period. So all of the sports media out there, all the liberal left-wing losers, got their panties all in a wad, and they're saying, oh my God, what's John McEnroe saying about women's athletes if he's saying that Serena Williams would be around the 700th best player in the world? I'll tell you what he was doing. I think John McEnroe was actually being kind to Serena Williams. We know that Serena Williams has once played the number 200-some-odd men's player in the world, and that he had been playing her after drinking beer and not really trying, and he beat her 6-1 or 6-2. He also beat her sister easily, okay? Saying that Venus or Serena Williams or any other female athlete is good for their sport is not an indictment of women. It's simply a biological reality. If you got an issue with the fact that people who have penises are better at sports than people who do not have penises, take it up with God or evolution or whatever higher power or non-power, science, whatever else created us on this earth at this point in time. I don't care how we got here. All I know is that every dude is going to beat every girl at the top of the sex when you go with racing. All right? If there were no separation of men's and women's sports, no women would go to the Olympics in any sport where men and women compete in the same sport. Let me repeat that. If there were no separation of the sexes in athletics, there would be no women at the Olympics. Period. In sports where men and women compete at the exact same level. Okay? That's the truth. Now, what I think is fascinating about a story like this is it exposes how much of sports media is agenda-driven. People are out there defending Serena Williams, even though that everything that John McEnroe said is 100% true, okay? The reason why women's sports exist is because women are not good enough to play against men. If a woman were good enough to play in the NBA, she would. If a woman were good enough to play in the NFL, she would. If a woman were good enough to play Major League Baseball, she would. They aren't, which is why they don't. It's not because of sexism. It's not because of the patriarchy. It's not because everything is allied against women. It's because they aren't good enough. And some people can't handle that because it conflicts with their view of the world. And I'm here to tell you, I don't give a damn about what your view of the world is. I care about what the facts are. And the facts are these. Men are better athletes than women in every sport that the two have ever competed in. That's the truth. Okay? Now, you can have an issue with it. You can get all curled up in the fetal position and grab your MSESPN blankie and cuddle up and suck on your thumb and say, oh, the patriarchy, sexism, so unfair. Guess what? Deal with it. The truth of the matter is this. John McEnroe is right in what he said about Serena Williams. Now, maybe John McEnroe is a devious genius here, because I think there's a possibility they're trying to set up another tennis match, a battle of the sexes between John McEnroe and Serena Williams that they could put on pay-per-view and millions of people could watch it. Would I rather watch John McEnroe play Serena Williams in tennis than watch Floyd Mayweather beat the crap out of Conor McGregor? Probably would. I think it would be more entertaining. But the simple fact of the matter is this. If you are upset by what John McEnroe said, that's about you. It ain't about him. All he did was say a fact. If he had come, it's basically the equivalent of him coming out and saying men are taller than women. Doesn't mean, the internet is great because so many people on the internet immediately respond with, well, I'm a woman, or I'm a man, or I'm a so-and-so. Anytime you speak in large generalities, like I can easily say men are taller than women. Then immediately if I tweet that, a woman would tweet back and she'd be like, I'm taller than my husband and I'm a woman. Well, whoop-de-goddamn do. That does not mean that women are taller than men. It means that you are taller than your husband. People don't understand the difference between their personal opinions and or lives and the lives of millions of people or billions of people other than them. Are there women that are stronger than some of you? There's no women stronger than me. I'm a physical beast, let's be honest. You see these triceps? Nobody with the out of penis can have those triceps. It just doesn't exist. But there are some women who are stronger than men. There are some women who are in much better shape than men. For instance, my wife is in much better shape than I am. She's also much better looking. But you know what I am? A lot fucking stronger than her. You know what sport she could beat me in? Not sure there's any. All right? That's one example of a marriage. All right? Doesn't mean that we're not equal. Doesn't mean that she doesn't get to vote. Doesn't mean that she doesn't get to own property. Doesn't mean that she doesn't get to drive a car. But when you actually look at men versus women, men are better in sports. Some women are better than some men in sports does not mean that women are better than men in sports. Great stat for you. Every high school state champion in Texas who was male would have won every single women's track and field event and gotten a gold medal if he had been competing as a woman overseas. It's an incredible stat for you. Let me repeat it. Every single state champion in Texas who was male in track and field would have set all-time records and won the gold medal if he had been competing in the Olympics in the women's events. That's men who are not even men yet. 15, 16, 17, and 18-year-old boys, all of them in Texas. Same thing is true in California. Every high schooler there would have won. So I built upon this for this reason. We over-exaggerate the talents of female athletes frequently because it makes people feel better for political reasons. Female athletes are good relative to other female athletes. They are not good relative to male athletes. This is why I've been saying, I said on the radio show this morning, a team of 15-year-old boys would crush the WNBA champion. if the Golden State Warriors were told you cannot allow the team you're playing against to score, the WNBA champs in a 48-minute game would not make a basket against the Golden State Warriors if the Warriors did not want to allow them to score. The Golden State Warriors would only give up points to the WNBA champions if they allowed the WNBA champions to be fouled and make free throws. This is beyond a shadow of a doubt true, okay? There is a massive gap between the talent that exists for men and the talent that exists for women. My good buddy Chad Withrow and I once did a show about this. When he was in college, and we did this on 104.5 The Zone, he and some of his friends would scrimmage the UT women. They were intramural level basketball players. They would crush the women to such an extent that sometimes the women, these are UT's women in the Pat Summitt era, could barely get the ball across half court against them. Every fraternity team at the University of Tennessee would beat the UT women by 20 points or more in a straight-up game. Probably even if the UT men were drinking. That's not because of sexism. That's because men are better than women at sports. So when John McEnroe came out and said that Serena Williams would be around the 700th best player in the world, that wasn't a shot at Serena Williams. He wasn't trying to delegitimize her. He said she's the greatest women's player of all time. But you have to consider it in context. The greatest women's player of all time might be a top 1,000 men's player currently. Not even a top 1,000 men's player of all time, a top 1,000 men's player right now. That's the truth. And so all these responses, and I've gotten a bunch of them. I've gotten a bunch of people from ESPN, a bunch of people out there in the liberal, left-wing, far-left sports media who are trying to make this an issue, who are upset at John McEnroe, who are demanding that he apologize. You don't apologize when you're right. I don't apologize, period. In my entire life, I've never apologized for anything that I said publicly. That's 14 years of columns. That's 14 years of talking on the radio, talking now on shows like these, television, everywhere else. I will never apologize for anything that I say. You know why? Because if I say it, I mean it, and that's my actual opinion. You may not agree with it. You may be upset. You may want me to apologize, but I'll never do it. Because you know what? I'm not going to apologize for my opinion. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in a robust marketplace of ideas. If you disagree with me, that's fine. That's your right. But women's athletes are not as good as men's athletes across the board. If they were not segregated based on sex, no woman would have ever won a gold medal in an event that men also do. It's not because the women aren't trying hard. It's not because the women aren't doing their best. It's because men are biologically superior to women in sports. Anybody else who argues otherwise is trying to advance a political agenda by trotting out a not proven situation. All right, that's the truth. So those are my thoughts on McEnroe versus Serena Williams. Now, much demand out there for my guy Travis Clay to make an appearance. If you know Travis Clay, he's the leader of the social justice warriors. Nobody gets triggered more often than Travis Clay. He's my extreme left-wing liberal sports fan alter ego. He is Travis Clay. When I bring out this flag, if you're not familiar with it on Facebook, if you're not familiar with it on Periscope, if you're listening to the audio, as many of you do, when I bring out the flag, it's time for Travis Clay to take the floor. So, welcome into Outkick the Show, Travis Clay, and he's got a world of info for you guys. Here we go. I found John McEnroe's comments about Serena Williams to be sadly, outrageously, outlandishly sexist and representative of the culture that exists in this country that guaranteed that because she has an ovaries, Hillary Clinton could not be elected president. Yes, she can, except for all the sexism, all the patriarchy, and everything else. People want to talk about the fact that women don't do as well in sports as men. Well, let me ask you a question. How fast would you be in the 100 meters if you didn't have the wind of patriarchy pushing you from behind? How fast would you be in the 100 meters if you were a woman and you were carrying all the difficulties of womanhood on your shoulders? If you had to worry about whether you were going to ever have the right to vote, if you had to worry about whether or not you were going to have the right to property, if you had to worry about whether or not you were going to have the right to drive, would you be so fast running The answer is no. Men make women slow by denigrating their accomplishments at every opportunity, by going out there and saying what John McEnroe said. Here is the simple truth, boys and girls. Serena Williams is the greatest athlete to ever exist in the history of the world. LeBron James goes to bed at night in Serena Williams pajamas. If LeBron James had to put up with what Serena Williams puts up with every day, and by every day I mean every now and then when she plays tennis, he would never be able to dunk a basketball. Do you know why most women can't dunk basketballs? Because the weight of oppression is on their shoulders. Because when they try to jump, their calf muscles don't work as well. They buckle under the stress of an oppressive patriarchy. Do you know why women's basketball players are so slow and routinely miss the layups? It's because they're being defended by the ghosts of ancient history, which has told them women cannot survive and triumph in sports. Do you know why women don't dunk the basketball? It's because there's a glass ceiling right above the court that you don't see. And when they jump, instead of soaring through that glass ceiling and breaking it, do you know what happens? They bump their heads and they come back down to earth. That's why every woman only has a vertical of about 14 inches. That is flat out evidence of sexism. Do you know why women swimmers are slower? Because they're held back with the weight of hundreds of years of oppression. Do you know why the women's soccer team lost to a group of 15-year-olds in Dallas, Texas recently, 5-2? The women's soccer team is the best women in the world. Do you know why they lost 5-2 to the 15-year-olds? Because the officials were biased in favor of the men. They believed those men whose genitals had just recently dropped, whose voices hadn't even changed yet, who still had the pale vestiges of pre-puberty on their faces. They believed they were better than the women. Bias, oppression, this is why women are not as good as men. You know what we need more of? I took my kids to go see Cars 3. It was supposed to be the story of Lightning McQueen, a heroic car that overcame his age to win a championship. Do you know what happened instead? A woman car came out of the backfield and won. If Tom Brady someday would decide at halftime, you know what? I'm not going to finish this game. I'm going to give the ball to Giselle and let her play quarterback. Do you know what would happen? Giselle would play quarterback and she would outperform Tom Brady. That's what Cars 3 taught me. Do you know what would happen if one day Clayton Kershaw was pitching for the LA Dodgers and he decided, you know what? I see Alyssa Milano in that stand. Instead of continuing my perfect game, I'm going to walk into the stand and hand her the ball, and I'm going to let Alyssa Milano pitch. Do you know what would happen? She would throw a double perfect game. She wouldn't give up a hit for 2 straight days. Do you know why? Because that's what sports teaches me. Cars 3 got this right. Cars 3 got it right. Justin Verlander isn't the star in his relationship. His right arm doesn't matter. Do you know what would happen if Kate Upton came in and took over Justin Verlander's pitching ability? Perfect game after perfect game after perfect game. The only reason people think Justin Verlander and Clayton Kershaw and Tom Brady are good is because they're white men. And white men right now tramp all over everybody else in this country. White men are pure, unadulterated evil. And I say that as a white man myself. I know why the caged bird sings. It's because a white man put him there. That's the truth. That is the truth, and you can believe it or you cannot believe it. White people, especially white men, are the only people in America who are racist. They're the only people in America who don't allow women to succeed. The glass ceiling oppression and bias is the reason why women are not as good as athletes as men. I am Travis Clay, and this is the fucking truth as I see it. All right, Travis Clay's out of here. I'm back. I hope you guys enjoyed his rant defending the rights of women everywhere to be the best athletes imaginable. Clay Travis back in. I will now dive into another massive story. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a challenge to the New Jersey gambling issue. If you're not familiar, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. The New Jersey gambling case emerges from the decision that New Jersey made to allow its citizens to bet on sporting events. I know it's a crazy decision. Back in 1992-ish, there was a law passed called PASPA. The law was passed and championed by Bill Bradley. Bill Bradley, former Rhodes Scholar, great NBA basketball player, one of the 50 greatest of all time. Bill Bradley played at Princeton, and he decided that sports gambling was a great evil that the country needed to have itself rid of. So as part of PASPA, sports gambling was illegalized federally everywhere except for the places where sports gambling was allowed pre-1992, which allowed Nevada, a little bit of parlaying going in Oregon. Anyway, there are very few states. Nevada was the only one that has a traditional sports book and was allowed to keep it, okay? New Jersey decided, we want to allow our citizens to make their own decision about whether or not they should be able to gamble on sports. The federal government fought that determination. They have lost every level so far until today when the Supreme Court granted certiorari, agreed to hear this case. I think this is a massive story, okay? I think it's a massive story for sports going forward, and I want you guys to think about this for a minute. What is the likely outcome of the case? I am a lawyer, so I'm going to put my lawyer hat on. I am not a Supreme Court scholar, but I don't believe the Supreme Court would have taken this case unless they were likely to overturn PASPA and give individual states the right to make determinations about whether or not sports gambling is legal. So when I say they're going to legalize sports gambling, what I mean is they are going to toss it back under federalism precepts to the individual states to make a determination about whether gambling should be allowed within a state's border. Just like exists now with the lottery, right? If you ever buy lottery tickets, you can go out in any different state that has allowed a lottery to exist because individual states have the right to determine whether or not a lottery exists in their borders. So I think what's going to happen is New Jersey is going to be allowed to begin sports gambling, and then every state out there is going to then be allowed to legalize sports gambling as they see fit as well. And that is going to open up the frontier of riches. Hate to say it, but as rich as I already am, I'm about to get a lot richer, bitches. So if you hate me now, you're going to really hate me when I got $100 million, motherfuckers, because that's coming, all right? I'm telling you right now, I believe the Supreme Court is going to legalize sports gambling and allow everybody the opportunity to make decisions about whether or not sports gambling is legal in their states. And we will see rapidly a race to sign up as many different people as possibly be signed up into the sports gambling universe. And so remember, I'm a huge proponent of sports gambling. Go to oddshark.com for all your gambling and sports informational related needs. But there is a lot to be determined here. And I think what is going to happen again is that individual states will be given the right. Now, what's fascinating about this is that back in 1992 when this law initially passed, George Bush Sr., it might have been 91, was the president. And his Justice Department actually said that they believed that this law was unconstitutional because what it does is it takes away a right from states, right? Takes away a right from states as to whether or not sports gambling should be legal and allows an unequal treatment to exist. So a state like Nevada can have sports gambling. Nobody else can do it even if their citizens vote to allow it. I think the Supreme Court's going to overturn objections. The NBA is already in favor of it. Every other league is going to have to get in line behind. All of this is going to happen at the same time that the NHL is starting to have a team play in Las Vegas. And, of course, that they're also going to have the Oakland Raiders becoming the Las Vegas Raiders at some point in the near future. So all of this is going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to be extraordinary for gamblers, for sports fans, for Outkick especially, also for me, but also for a lot of the people who read and consume our content on a daily basis. Now, let me tell you right now, this show also brought to you by SeatGeek. I'm going to tell you that you need to go on SeatGeek right now and get the best possible prices you can for sporting events that are going on this fall. I was actually starting to look at the cost of tickets in sports for different college football games already. We're not that far away from college football. I'm starting off the college football year down in Atlanta. I'm going to the Alabama-Florida State game, and then I'm going to follow that up with a doubleheader and go to Tennessee, Georgia Tech in the brand new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I may also need to buy some tickets because I may want to take some people with me. We may have an awesome Outkick event in Atlanta for the kickoff of the college football season. I cannot wait to get there, but I need to get on SeatGeek to see the best possible prices. I'm telling you right now, SeatGeek's app is phenomenal. I have bought tickets on there regularly, and you can get $20 off right now. All you need to do is go download the SeatGeek app, go to the settings tab, click add a promo code, put in the promo code OUTKICK, and you will be well on your way to making an awesome start to the college football season by having spectacular tickets rated with a seat value in a brand new football stadium at Mercedes-Benz. You can be there with me for Bama, Florida State, and Tennessee, Georgia Tech. If you download the SeatGeek app today, go to the promo code. I'm helping you out. Download the app. Go to the settings tab, click add a promo code, and put in the promo code OUTKICK, OUTKICK, for the Bama fans out there who might not be able to spell it. It's actually written on the wall right here behind me. It's also written on the shirt right here in front of me. Make sure that you get hooked up today. Go download the SeatGeek app and be on a roll. Okay, final thing that I wanted to hit, Fox Sports Digital. This is actually a sad story. Fox Sports Digital, so many people on social media are like, why aren't you talking about Fox Sports Digital? Why aren't you talking about Fox Sports Digital? Well, first of all, because I don't work at Fox Sports Digital. I own Outkick, which is 100% independent, as I said yesterday, and has been for months, from Fox Sports. I own everything that I do, 100% of it. I am not an employee of Fox Sports. I do a Fox Sports radio show, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, foxsportsradio.com, 250 a.m. FM station, Sirius XM Channel 83. But Fox Sports Radio is just a licensing deal. I'm an employee of iHeartMedia, iHeartRadio, whatever you want to say. Okay? So that is the truth. But if you're somebody who's been paying attention to this story, Fox Sports Digital effectively shut down for writers. We have Bruce Feldman, Stuart Mandel, Ken Rosenthal. There are a lot of people who write for a living and are going to have to go find new jobs from a writing perspective. I'm not one of them because I already have my own site because we've been off on our own now for months, as I told you guys, which is why I control all ad sales, which is why if you want to be on this show, you need to email claytravis@gmail.com because we're almost filled up for the entire fall. I feel bad for a lot of people at Fox Sports Digital who lost their jobs. They are good people. They have worked hard. There's a chance that some of them may end up working for me at Outkick. Not 100% sure about that, but I think it's always unfortunate when anybody who makes a living as a writer loses their job, whether it's at ESPN, CNNSI, Fox Sports, Bleacher Report, wherever it is, okay? I saw this coming years ago when I lost my job at Fan House. I've been exactly where these guys and girls are right now. 6 years ago, in 2011, I lost my job at Fan House. I've told this story before, but there was a contract extension literally on the desk that would have had me at Fan House as a national columnist for years to come. And suddenly, the entire place got shut down. Didn't exist anymore. And so, as a result, I decided I want to control my future. And so, I ended up starting Outkick. I've made millions of dollars since then because it was the right decision, because you guys have supported Outkick, because you guys have supported our content. I love all of our crew out there. But that's why I did it, so I would control my future. I didn't want to ever allow an employer to control my future again. 80% of my income now, 75, 80%, maybe higher, depending on how many more ads we sell, comes directly to me through Outkick now, through our Outkick businesses. So, I love doing radio. I think I have two of the best bosses in the business in Don Martin and Scott Shapiro. But if at some point I can't do radio, I'll be able to do these shows. I'll be able to do Outkick the same way that I always have because I control my future. I think that's where other people are going to have to move. The writing business has gotten tough. The ad business is broken. That's why I want to sell my ads directly. If you want me to endorse your product, you pay me, I'll do it. I don't want to do programmatic ads. I can do a whole litany of stories about why I believe the broken ad model is leading to writers losing their jobs. And the easy answer is because aggregation pays just as well as original content. Sometimes better because it's easier to aggregate 6 stories than it is to write 1. And so what I've always done at Outkick is write original stories that are my own that nobody else can replicate. Okay? You may not like them. You may think I'm an ass. but that's been my goal from the get-go. Be smart, original, funny, and authentic. SOFA. Smart, original, funny, and authentic. And so I feel bad that all those people who were relying on Fox Sports Digital, I had a great existence there. My boss was a guy named Pete Blastelica, who was fantastic. He left about a year ago, and now all Fox Sports Digital is going to be, foxsports.com, is videos of arguments from FS1 television shows. I think that doesn't make a lot of sense. That's not the direction that I would have gone, but I'm not in charge of Fox Sports Digital content. I'm in charge of Outkick content. So if you have an issue with Fox Sports, take it to somebody else. That ain't me. If you got an issue with Outkick, you can come to me, and guess what I'm going to say? I don't give a fuck. So just fair warning, right? If you have an issue with any other media company, take it to them. You got an issue with Outkick, you can come to me. I'll read it, and I'll say, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what your issues are. So that is the truth. I am the most honest person in all of sports media. That is my position. And if anybody has any questions, I will now respond to questions on any subject under the sun. A little segment we like to call Rapid Fire Bitches. Let's roll. What questions do you guys have on Facebook or Twitter? Britt McEnroe. Britt McEnroe sent a tweet to me saying that she thinks she lost her job because she's conservative, and then she deleted it, and it's turned into a massive story. I'd like to think that at some point Britt will come on, outkick the coverage, and tell her side of the story. We have a good relationship. I like her, and I think that she is one of many people at ESPN who feel that they are not treated fairly based on their politics. That if you're liberal, you get promoted and you get television shows. If you're conservative, you get let go. No, I wouldn't work at ESPN. I make a lot of money now. I get to live at home in Nashville. The same reason that I didn't want to leave, I got offered, I told you guys yesterday, I wrote it in an article, I got offered my own show at FS1. I turned it down. I could have had my own daily show at FS1, would have had to move to LA, would have been Outkick the Show or whatever you want to call it on FS1. I'm comfortable with where I am right now. Radio show is dominant. I am making a lot of money. I think I have the best job in America. And hell, I'm going to Europe for 2 weeks on Friday. So you have to make do without me. So no, I wouldn't move. Why didn't I vote for Trump? I didn't like Trump or Hillary, so I voted for Gary Johnson. I just heard about the Vandy football players getting shot at Target. I haven't seen much news about that. I think that there's a challenging market for everybody, and I'm confident with where Outkick is. I don't worry about everybody else. I'm not meeting anyone. I'm taking my family, my 9, my 6, and my 2-year-old boys, my wife, and our nanny, all 6 of us, like Griswold. Hey, look, kids, Big Ben. We're going over to Europe on Friday. FS1 questions. The ratings are up. I think the programming schedule is good. What I would say about people who talk about sports is they need to focus more on Fox. All right? Fox Sports and FS1 are really kind of different when it comes to producing actual games. And if you look at the roster of events that Fox has, it's unequaled by anybody. This past year, Fox had the Super Bowl. They had the World Series. They're going to start having all major soccer games. The World Cup next year is on all Fox properties. U.S. Open for golf. The UFC events that are not pay-per-view. If you actually, the NFC, every NFC package all over, the NFC Championship game, Fox has the best package of sports rights of any media company in the country. And frankly, I don't think there's a close second. Launch date for Outkick VIP. So be smarter than just looking at FS1. Look at what Fox is doing. A lot of really smart people. I like a lot of the people at Fox. I like a lot of people at ESPN. But I think the future for Outkick may well be to be an independent site. And that's what we are now. And I think that's going pretty well. So I made the decision. I could have had my own television show. I could have moved to LA. I chose to stay here and do what I'm doing now. And I'm happy with that decision. I have not watched the Big 3 yet. All right, you guys are fantastic. I appreciate all of the questions. Am I concerned about losing my time slot on Fox Sports Radio? No. Look, if they want to take me off Fox Sports Radio, first of all, they're going to have to do it over my boss's heads. Second, which I think will be tough. Secondly, they got to cut me a big check. And look, if people want to pay me not to work, I'll always take money. Like, the great thing about what I do is I have an outlet directly to my audience every day with Outkick. I have a direct audience directly to my audience every day with Facebook Live and with Periscope. Used to be that content creators like me didn't have a distribution mechanism. I saw it online 6 years ago, and I said, it doesn't matter what the name on the front of your jersey is. It matters what the name on the back of your jersey is. So I went online, started Outkick, created a massive media empire surrounding me. All right? Same thing is true now of TV. I really don't think it matters that much if you're on TV. People would just as soon watch this on their phone or listen to it in their car when they're driving home as they would sit down in front of the television screen and watch me talk for 30 or 45 minutes. Now, the money is not officially all here yet, but it's coming. And I go where there's two kinds of people. There's people who play the ball where it is, and there's people who play the ball where it's going to be. I'm a play the ball where it's going to be guy, and that's how I've become a multimillionaire. Most people play the ball. And so suddenly when the ball is down by the goal and I'm scoring goals, people are like, how did Clay Travis get down there and score that goal? That's because I knew where the ball was going, not where the ball was. So if you're an intelligent business person, you don't play the ball where it is, you play where it's going. And I have been and still am years ahead of my competitors. And they're looking around like, wait a minute, how does Clay Travis have 50 or 100,000 people watching him every day on Periscope and Facebook Live and listening to his podcast, totally controlling his own distribution? How does Clay Travis have millions of people reading his website and watching his content every day? Because I'm not playing the ball. I'm playing where the ball is. And every single day, ball gets closer to me. I love all of you. Thank you for watching. Don't be a pussy. Hashtag DBAP. Outkick VIP should launch around August 1 is my hope, or thereabouts. And I'm thinking $99 for the year, but also that you guys would get an Outkick t-shirt. So it actually ends up costing you about $70 or $75. It's a good experiment. Good thing about being rich, everything doesn't have to work perfectly in order to make more money. Fox, you want to come say hi? One of my sons running by. He just wants to wave hi. My oldest. Hi. Hi, everybody. You can come on tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
I love you. Love you guys too. Hashtag DBAP. I'm Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show.